Wisconsinites fended off an unprecedented attack on our democracy. Our courts are not for sale.
That was the Democratically backed candidate in Wisconsin State Supreme Court race, Susan Crawford, at her victory event last night. Crawford beat the Republican-backed candidate in the race, Brad Schemmel, by 10 points. Those results have gone some distance in boosting the sagging spirits of Democrats still nursing their metaphorical political wounds after last November's losses. CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, your friend and mine, Anthony Salvanto, joins me to break it down. So do that, Anthony. Break it down.
How you doing, Major? Look, this is what we saw last night. Susan Crawford, the Democratic-backed candidate you mentioned, in purple in the counties of Wisconsin. And look, the folks who followed this through the 2024 election on election night with us will fondly recall, perhaps, all the discussion of areas around Green Bay, areas around Madison, where Democrats have to do well, and areas around Milwaukee. Well, what does that tell you going forward based on how Susan Crawford performed? She did well there. In fact, all of those areas shifted toward what you might call the liberal or the Democratic position compared to the 2024 vote. And I'm going to do this where I'm going to say, where did the votes come from, Major? Again, purple areas for Crawford. I'm going to turn the state on its side, and the higher purple bars means more voters. And you can see, in a relative way, big turnout in Milwaukee, big turnout in Madison. What political story does that tell? It'll say Democrats were able to get out their base of support, their voters, all that money in the race. Yes, Elon Musk was trying to get turnout up for the conservative side, but it also may have helped activate those Democratic voters, and that is what helped Crawford to victory.
Anthony, it also struck me that when we talk about this election, it is a rough comparison to 2024, but a more precise comparison is the most recent Supreme Court race in Wisconsin previous to this, 2023. In that race, I looked up, 1.8 million voters turned out. This time, 2.3 million voters turned out. So there was a tremendous more interest in this race.
And that is so important, Major. I'm going to write it here on the board, right? That 2.3 million, yes, higher than the last Supreme Court race, but also that represents about 2/3 of the votes cast in a presidential race. That is a midterm level turnout. So we're in the spring of an off year. You know, I always say, don't overread a special election, but the more people turn out, the closer you can make a comparison to other things. And I think that's what has a lot of folks on the Democratic side, as you said at the top, a little bit more upbeat after that.
And Anthony, very quickly, this fits within a theme. When President Trump is on the ballot, things are different than when he's not.
Right. There is, we believe, a voter who comes out only for President Trump on the ballot. And I think as we look ahead to the next set of midterms, will that voter be able to be activated by the Republicans is probably the central question.
Anthony Salvanto, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.